Greetings and salutations. It is I, Mr. Nothing, the museum curator of the weird and the strange and a host who might be a ghost. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today I don't want to talk about a specific book that I read, rather multiple books and what I plan on reading. Today it is that time of the month where I do my wrap-up and TBR videos. Should be tons of fun. I read quite a bit last month. I feel like I'm upping my count through artificial means, just because I'm reading a lot more comics, and those are easy to get through. Sometimes. A lot of the times there's a lot to chew on, so I pause more often than I would reading, a regular book. But there's still like fewer pages, so... And even in the collections, it doesn't take too long to read those books, read those comic books. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about what I read last month, and then I'll talk about what I plan to read in December. It should be tons of fun. In terms of what I read last month, for books, graphic novels, comic books, stuff like that, I read a number of things. I read the entirety of not the entirety. I read the first 3 volumes of the Sandman series, volumes 1, 2, and 3, which were all pretty good, high quality. I enjoyed the first one. The second one was okay, and I really liked the offbeat, non-connected nature of the third one, especially as it revealed more about dream and death and those things. So I would say I love them, and I can't wait to read more of them, just because it's such a bizarre comic book style, one that I haven't seen ever. Like I've been reading Batman and Spider-Man comics, and they have a certain style, and most comics have a similar style to that, but the Sandman comics just look completely different. Like they're a different art style, a different way they characterize their protagonist. You name it. It's different. I also read Space Station Down by Nova. I don't remember who wrote it. I didn't like the book. I actually talked about it in my bad book roundup, where I just talked about how it had an interesting plot, but it didn't do anything with it. And in fact, the book decided to do nothing at all for 300 pages, and it wasn't really fun. It was a chore to read, and I'm not going to seek more out from that author, because it kind of sucked. I also read the 6th book in the Princess Diaries series. I believe it's The Princess in Training by Magi. I also talked about it in my bad book roundup, because I didn't want to make 2 separate videos for 2 different bad books that I read. So I decided to talk about it there, and it also wasn't good. I feel like it was better than the previous Princess Diaries books, but I've been saying that about a lot of Princess Diaries books. Like, oh, it's good, it's better than the one before. Maybe the series is turning a corner, and the series is never turning a corner. Every single book, Meg Cabot just seems to forget that she wrote something in the previous book. So every character is a blank slate, despite the fact that we're 6 books, and it doesn't feel like Mia is advancing forward as a character, and her boyfriend Michael, who is in college now, seems to be regressing. So that's unfortunate. I don't know. Don't read it. Don't look for it. I also read Stoner. Talk about a huge leap in quality from the Princess Diaries series. Stoner was an amazing book. It made me feel a variety of emotions. It made me see literature in a different sort of way. Like I hadn't sought out character studies before, and now I might do more of that. Just because I might get something on the same level as Stoner, or maybe Stoner is the top echelon of books, and I'm doomed forever to seek out that high that I'll never get. But either way, John Williams wrote an amazing book, and I can see how a lot of people might be turned off by it. Lucas over at Bits of Lit also read it based on my suggestion, and he said that he liked it, but it wasn't wasn't that great, and I can see how the character of William Stoner might turn some people off, because he's non conflict ready, and he prefers just to go through his life, which doesn't really make for an interesting story. But I say it's more the internal aspect of him that makes for an interesting story, and what it says about the rest of us. So that's my take on it. I definitely recommend it. That's got to be the best book of November, and one that I think that everyone out there should try to read. At least make it to the halfway point before you decide that Stoner is not for you. I also read The Parade by Eggers, the guy who wrote founded McSweeney's, the literary journal. It wasn't a very good book. I found it to be very mediocre, and even a couple weeks later, I'm not really impressed by it. I think it was trying to tell a story in a metaphor about the U.S. intervention overseas, but it came off a bit obvious and a little. It was obvious. I knew what they were trying to do, and they were being obnoxious about it. And instead of telling a compelling story, they preferred 100% to operate on a metaphorical level. So it didn't seem like they made any real decisions. They just spoke in vague statements or something like that. So not a real fan. Kind of so. I mean, other people might enjoy it. I think that's really where it is. I didn't like it, but I can see how other people might like it. It wasn't like The Princess Diaries, where I'm like, who is this for? This is for nobody. So that was my issue with that story. And then I read in Every Morning, The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, by an author whose name I'm forgetting again. It was really good. I suggest everyone go seek it out. It's a novella, a very short story, and it says a lot about memory and forgetting, and how we still try to remember those that we're forgetting even in our old age. A good story worth reading, and it won't take you too long at all to get through it. So there's nothing stopping you from seeking it out. And then I also read Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, a very thought-provoking story. And I think the ultimate message of that story, one that I didn't get to say in the video itself, is that we often focus on the individuals when trying to get rid of racism, but that doesn't necessarily work. We got to work on the institutional messages that we send out, and the broader societal messages that say that some people are less than others, or that racism is okay in some form. And once you get at those societal messages, it'll trickle down to the individual, and they'll know that that's not appropriate, or that they'll know that they're not welcome in proper society. So I really like what Octavia Butler is trying to say there, and how she used a science fiction kind of perspective of time travel to tell that. So yeah, worth checking out, and I hope everyone reads Octavia Butler in the future. I also read Batman Hush, a wonderful story, a wonderful Batman story that introduced a new Batman villain. I really like how it was more personal, and how it focused on the relationship between Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne, and how there was something to be there, but because Bruce is very paranoid and worried about losing loved ones, he's afraid to fully commit to any relationship. Not just to Selina, but to Alfred, to any of the Robins, to any of his friends like Clark Kent. He has a friendship there, but it's never a full commitment, which is unfortunate for Bruce Wayne. Maybe that will change when he drops the Batman mantle, but probably not. I loved the comic, the collection of Hush, and I want to read the sequel that also has Hush. Heart of Hush, I think it is. It furthers the backstory of the character, and I can't wait to learn more from that. I also read Justice League Origins. It was a bad comic. I didn't enjoy it. Not much else I can say beyond that. And then I also read Spider-Man: The Death of the Stacys, which combines all of the comics from the Death of Gwen Stacy arc, and just and puts them together and tries to tell a cohesive story through that. And I will release a video tomorrow, but I did like it, although there were some issues that I feel the need to call out, and I'll do that in the video that I release for it. I also read a number of short stories last month. An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce, a really good short story. It's a classic, and I can see why it's a classic. It has an interesting twist to it that didn't really happen before Ambrose Bierce wrote it, but it has since become filled with into pop culture. Possibly because of Ambrose Bierce, or possibly because of other reasons. But it's worth checking out. I read In the South, The Sand Winds Are Our Greatest Enemy by Rita Bullwinkle from Belly Up. I thought it was a pretty fun short story. Not much depth to it beyond that, but it's still a collection worth checking out. That is Belly Up by Rita Bullwinkle. I also read Polanisberg from David Gooderson's Problems with People. I thought that was a fine short story. Again, not much depth to it, but still pretty okay. I didn't like the collection as a whole, so this individual short story is good, but the collection is not worth checking out in my opinion. A lot of the stories didn't really justify their own existence in any way, or even tell a story that was really worth telling. So it just felt it felt kind of boring a lot of the time. And then I read Bicentennial Man by Isaac Asimov. It was the first Isaac Asimov story that I checked out, and it was a real doozy. It had a lot to say about human beings and robots, and what it means to be a human being. And I think I love Asimov's philosophical style when he writes. Not so much the legal talk that he filled the story with, but it was still pretty good, and I look forward to reading more Isaac Asimov in the future because of it. And then I also read a number of poems last month by Catherine Klingsayas and Teresa May Chook, among other authors. Wonderful poems. Go to my playlist on my channel so that you can find those videos from the last month. They're all worth checking out. It's pretty wonderful poetry. And so now we move on to the December TBR. What do I have planned for December? Am I going to wear this hat the entire time? The answer to that is yes, I most definitely will, because it's a fun hat to wear. As for the books that I'm going to read next month, I have a number of library pickups that I'm just going to go and read, possibly by more Black authors and Latin American authors. I feel like I have a bit of a gap in my readership with Latin American authors, as I did with Black authors, and I guess you could also say Asian American authors. There's just a big gap there, and I need to try to find a way to fill it in a meaningful way. So we'll see how that goes. And this also includes graphic novels. I still have Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth to talk about, and some more volumes of The Sandman as I make my way through that, and we'll see where else we go. I hope I can read The Killing Joke in December, if not in January. A lot of good comics to check out next month. Also, Princess Diaries 7. I gotta make it to the end eventually, so we're more than halfway there, and I feel pretty good about that. I also want to check out other people's pets by R.L. Mazes. If you recall, I read her short story collection, We Love Anderson Cooper. It was a fun collection of short stories, and I really want to see if that translates well to a more longer format story about a former thief who is pet sitting or something like that. So I will definitely check that out. I also checked out Timeline from the library recently by Michael Crichton, so another Michael Crichton read is coming your way. It should be good. It's about time travel. It'll be interesting to see if Michael Crichton has any fascinating thoughts about time travel, much like how he had with dinosaurs and nanotechnology. In terms of short stories, I do have a couple of Christmas stories I want to focus on next month. This includes Gift of the Magi by O. Henry and The Grinch by Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Classics, and I wanted to get my Christmas fill next month. I did try to find some Hanukkah or Kwanzaa themed short stories, but I don't know if those even exist. If you know of any, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you so that we can get that on the docket, and it's not just a very Christian centric month that coming up. I also want to check out some more Philip K. Dick. That Isamov last month has got me hankering for some more Philip. So we'll see where that takes us. Maybe I'll check out one of his other short stories that was made into a movie. We'll see how that goes. And then I also checked out a book called Public Library from the Public Library. And that's a collection of short stories. So I'm also looking forward to reading that. I have a number of poems planned for December. I'll try to fit in some Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa themed poems if I can find them. But a lot of poems around this time focus on just winter rather than a specific holiday. So if you know of any poems, again, let me know. I'm always willing to take some suggestions. So that is what I have planned for the month of December. Quite a bit to read. Some stuff that I know I'm probably not going to be getting to, but we'll see where that takes us into January then. Near the end of December, I'm going to release a 2021 TBR where I just want to talk about all the things that I kind of want to read in 2021, and then I can, as 2021 goes on, I can reflect on that and see if I'm anywhere close to getting it done. So, we'll see where that takes us. But in the meantime, if you have any suggestions for me or you want to comment on something that I said I was going to read, feel free to comment below. I know that Noah, from Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse, has told me to read that the China Street Station book, and I will get to it eventually. It's just there's so much else on the docket, so I have to find some time for the other stuff first. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that other people can throw some suggestions at me if they have them. Follow me on Twitter at AroundTheWeird so you can see my progress for the coming month as I read books. And in the meantime, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and seasonal travels. Farewell.